Welcome into another episode of Bracket Buster Breakdown. This one, kind of swan song, the requiem for the Pac-12. Here we are, the final conference tournament for the Pac-12. It's a shame that we've gotten here, honestly. It's disgusting that we've gotten here, honestly. But here we are. We sit awaiting few more games of the Pac-12, and basketball-wise, it's over. Football-wise, it's already over. Obviously, spring sports are still ahead, like baseball and softball, but the end of the Pac-12 is creeping towards us very quickly. I don't think we ever truly thought we would get to this moment where the Pac-12 was just not going to exist. Really felt like it was going to somehow survive. Now, the name is still surviving somewhere, maybe. I really don't know. But yeah, we sit here. We got a mess of teams going a mess of places next year. You got it's a mess. I don't know how. I know why we've gotten to this point because of football money, but I also don't know why we had to get to this point. But alas, here we are, the final Pac-12 tournament. Let's get into it. We start off with 4 games Wednesday, then we got 4 games Thursday, a semifinal Friday, and we got the championship game on Saturday, the final ever Pac-12 game. Conference game, I guess, because is it technically a Pac-12 game if a team is in the tournament and they're playing somebody not from the Pac-12? I don't know. Here we go. We're going to start off Wednesday, right at the top. It is Washington going up against USC. USC, of course, their big storyline is Bronny James. I think the storyline should be how not good he is and how Andy Enfield just has driven this program kind of into the abyss. Washington's big storyline is Mike Hopkins is not returning as head coach next year, yet he's still going to coach this tournament. I think that's going to be a massive detriment. I mean, you could always just be you're going out to win for your coach who's gotten fired, or this could be what are we even playing for? Our coach is fired, and why are we even here? I kind of feel like it's going to be the latter of the two. I think USC find a way to win. I don't think they're that good, nor do I think Washington is that good. I mean, USC is 14-17. I think their best win of the season was on Saturday against Arizona at home when they won 78-65. But still, I think the factor that Mike Hopkins is already fired, yet is still coaching, is just it's dumb. It's dumb. If you're going to fire your coach and bring in an interim for the tournament and maybe you make a run. That's my thought process. Moving on to the second game, you have a very massively underachieving Mick Cronin UCLA team. I mean, they're under 500 this year. They went 15-16, taking on Oregon State, who also quite awful. This Oregon State team. Wayne Tinkle kind of feels like he's going to get fired. I honestly don't know if it happens, though, given what's happening to Oregon State because the Pac-12 decided to blow up. UCLA is going to win this just because it's UCLA. They're the better team than Oregon State. Oregon State is awful. Like, awful. They win this game, I think, quite easily. We move on to the last edition of the big game, at least in the Pac-12. Next year, what a great ACC rivalry we have here is Cal and Stanford. These two teams, I mean, they played on Thursday, I should say. They played on Thursday. It was Stanford walking away with an 80-58 victory, and that was at home. This Cal team isn't great. Stanford team also not great. These two faced off at the end of January too. This one was in Berkeley. It was Cal walking away with 73-71 victory. I don't know what to expect here. I have Cal winning just because the absolute domination that Stanford showed on Thursday, I don't expect to show up again. And I expect Cal to kind of play better, I hope. And I expect them to advance to the quarterfinals. And then finally, we get to Utah and Arizona State. Utah seems to be battling for their tournament lives right now. I know they're on the wrong side of the bubble. Kind of feels like they got to win a few here in Las Vegas just to even get last four in maybe, or even first four out. Arizona State, on the other hand, this has been just an awful year for Bobby Hurley. I don't know if he ends up getting fired. I think it's more likely that he just ends up taking another job. Is that job the DePaul job? I don't know. It's possible. But Utah has to win this game if they want to keep any hope of the tournament alive. I expect them to get the win here. These two teams, I believe, faced off in, I want to say it was February at one point. It was the beginning of February, February 10th. Arizona State walked away with an 85-77 victory in that one. And then they also, the beginning of January, they faced off in Tempe. And it was Arizona State walking away with an 82-70 victory. Hard to beat a team three times in a season. I expect Utah to find a way to get a victory here. We move on to the quarterfinals, and we get to the only team that is truly very good in this conference. I think there's one other good team, and the rest are just bleh. And that is Arizona. Arizona, I think they lost their shot at a 1 seed on Saturday when they lost to USC, but I still think they're going to be a very good 2 seed. They've got a very good team. The transfer in of Caleb Love is the biggest win for them this year. That's got them to this point. The question is, can they actually show up in the tournament now? It has been a excruciating few years, I would say, for the Wildcats, going up against, obviously, the winner of the Washington-USC game. And, of course, I have USC winning. I expect Arizona kind of to dominate here, get on, avenge that loss from Saturday, and move on to the semifinals. Next up, we have Oregon, UCLA. Both these teams aren't good. I don't know if Dana Altman's going to be at Oregon next year. I don't know if Mick Cronin's going to be at USC. I don't think this game matters for either side to keep the jobs. I think one has his sights set on a different job. One might just retire. I don't know. Just this Oregon team has been so on and off this year. They're not that good. If we look at just since February, they won against USC. They lost against UCLA. Won against Washington, lost against Washington State. Won against Oregon State, won against Stanford, lost against Cal. Won against Oregon State, lost against Arizona, lost against Colorado, won against Utah. You're trying to convince me that you are a good team. You can't be splitting, win-loss, win-loss, win-loss. You can't be doing that. I know UCLA isn't good. They find a way to win this game somehow. I don't know how, but they find their way to the Pac-12 semifinal. We get to the story of the year, and that's these Washington State Cougars, coached by Kyle Smith. He has just done such a great job with this team. This is a Washington State team. They've beat Arizona twice. They're the only team to do that in the Pac-12. This Washington State team is very good. Their losses worry me. They lost in January to Cal. They lost at the end of February to Arizona State. They lost on Thursday against Washington. These losses worry me, but I still think they find a way to get to the semifinal here. They beat Cal. Then you got Colorado and Utah. Obviously, Utah, I have already explained, they need to win a few games. I think if they win against Arizona State, they win against Colorado, that might be enough to get them in the bubble conversation. I mean, Colorado's on a roll right now. They've won 6 straight. Their last loss was against UCLA on February 15th. Since then, they've beat USC, Utah, Cal, Stanford, Oregon, and Oregon State. So not like the top echelon of teams in the Pac-12. But crucially, that Utah game is there. They won 89-65. They lost in the return game at Utah. They lost 73-68. I think Utah is fighting for their tournament lives right now. I think they find a way to advance. And I think winning 2 games is enough to at least get them in the conversation. I don't know if it's enough to get them in. It's going to a lot matter what happens around them. But I think it's enough to get them in the conversation at least. Conferences. They just played on, I want to say it was Friday or Saturday, Thursday. They played on Thursday. It was Arizona just in a dominating performance, 88-65. And that's not really surprising if we're honest. Arizona, juggernaut, they move on to the final. Then you get Washington State and Utah. I think Washington State keeps this Cinderella-ish run. It's not Cinderella because they're a 2 seed, but this whole season has been Cinderella-ish, just given everything, given the Pac-12 imploding, leaving, Washington State and Oregon State with the rubble. Washington State kind of just making the best of the opportunity they got right now. They've had a really good season. I think they move on to the final where they would face off against Arizona. So we end up with a Arizona-Washington State final. Obviously, Arizona has been a very good team this year. Washington State been a very good team this year. The only team to beat Arizona twice this year. As I have constantly said, it is hard to beat a team 3 times. And I expect Arizona to end up the champion here because I think they're the better team, honestly. And in a neutral site, it really is just the best team kind of always wins. So I expect Arizona to walk away as the final Pac-12 champion. So that is going to wrap it up for this final Pac-12 tournament preview. Again, it's stupid that we've gotten to this point, but here we are. We sit here. Pac-12 is gone next year, so let's enjoy it while we got it. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you just stumbled across this video, click like, click subscribe. Go back and check out the ACC, the Big 12, the Big East, the Big 10 tournament previews. The SEC one coming up very shortly. By the time you're watching this, you'll probably see the SEC one there too. So thank you so much for watching, and we will see you again soon, very soon, for another episode of Bracket Buster Breakdown.